You're tuned into the Inside Browns Report. I'm your host, Christian Patterson. Last Thursday, the Browns faced off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And TV20 reporter Rachel Hill was at First Energy Stadium for this matchup.
Thanks, Christian. I'm down at First Energy Stadium tonight, second time this week, for the matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns just won here a few days ago against the Buffalo Bills. Now, their division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, come into Cleveland on a 4-game win streak led by Mason Rudolph. It's going to be a big matchup tonight. The Browns were able to take care of some things that have been plaguing them this past season, turnovers and penalties. A win tonight could help the Cleveland Browns' chances to get into the playoffs. It's going to be a tough matchup. This is AFC North football, Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We don't react like that no matter what. That's not an excuse for anything that Miles did at all. And we're not giving him an excuse. He doesn't want an excuse. So it doesn't matter what happened. I don't even care what happened. We've got 5 seconds to go in the game. That can't happen. We've got 5 seconds to go in the game. The biggest game that this team's won in never beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the same year since they've been in 1999. And then we've got to talk about this. So there's 52 other guys in that team, on the team, that hurt, and it's going to hurt moving forward. So we don't condone that, and it's not going to. Miles understands what he did wrong, all right? He's got to maintain his composure. Just like he had to do at the start of the year. He had to maintain his composure. We got 5 seconds in the game. I'm sorry, but it's kind of like, you know, he understands.
And this locker room is going to have to come together because this is going to be a soap opera on the outside, much like the media has portrayed us to be from the whole season. So we have to be a disciplined team. We have to address it. We have to handle it. We have to come together, and we have to play football. That's our job. Let's play football, show up every day and do that. So that's plain and simple. And like Freddie said, instead of addressing the things of Joe Schobert has 2 interceptions, Morgan Burnett, I mean, it's just, that's the sad part about it, is our defense played lights out. Miles played a great game up until that point. And that's overshadowing that. And that's the bad part about this, of, you know, instead of talking about how the defense played great, and, you know, I'm going to talk about the offensive struggles that we should have had more points. We left a lot on the board. We're going to talk about that until it blows over. And we don't know the extent of what's going to happen to Miles, but we have to roll with the punches, and we have to handle that as a team and come together.
There's a team in there that paid the price for victory during the course of the week, short week, came off a win last week. We just won 2 in a row. We accomplished a lot. We just wanted to go 1-0 this week. We accomplished that. So you can't lose sight of the good things that we did. The turnovers the defenses had, the offensive production early in the game, the ability to run the ball when we needed to run the ball at the end of the game. Had some lapses there in between that we need to continue to try to run the ball. But there's a lot of good things from the game that's going to get overshadowed by this. And a lot of people is not going to get the recognition because of this. Our tight end made an unbelievable catch in the end zone. You won't even hear about that because of all this. So that part of it, if I answer your question, Nate, is disappointing. That the Cleveland Brown organization has to answer questions about this whenever we just had a huge win. Yes. And they're hard. It's hard to win in a National Football League on a week-to-week basis. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are a great team, and we've got to answer questions about this rather than celebrate the guys that performed well at a high level.
Baker, how disappointing is it? This is, Freddie talked about, this is the biggest win for this franchise in a very long time. Never beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the same season. And unfortunately, we have to spend the postgame asking you questions about it.
Yeah, that's the bad part. Instead of feeling like we just won a game that we really needed, we talk about a singular focus and mindset. it feels like we lost. And so it's going to take time for us to realize that we just won this game, even though it's very obvious with the scoreboard. But that's the tough part.
Baker, you guys, fought and won these last 2 games. Now you're in a position to keep this thing rolling. How much is it going to hurt to not have your best defensive player on the football field?
It's going to hurt us. Obviously we don't know what exactly is going to happen, but whatever does happen, next man up mentality, and that's how we have to handle it. That's how this locker room has to handle it. We can't focus on the negative. That it never gets you anywhere if you focus on the negative. So we have to address it, move forward, and see what's going to happen.
The Cleveland Browns defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, 21-7. The Cleveland Browns are on a 2-game win streak. They beat their division foe, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are 2-0 in the division. And now the Browns will have a 10-day rest, and they will be taking on the Miami Dolphins next. Also, the fight did end in a brawl. Myles Garrett is out. We're not sure how long the suspension will be. Hopefully he'll be able to return back to action soon. They do take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they go to Pittsburgh. Hopefully no retaliation can take place and the Browns can keep on rolling at this time. They won tonight 21-7. Onward. This is Rachel Hill for TV 20.
Thanks, Rachel. Once again, I was right. The Browns got their 2nd win in a row at home, and they're undefeated in the AFC North. Coach Freddie Kitchens has given the team a week-to-week mindset. They're fighting for a possible playoff or wild card spot, and if they win 5 out of 6 remaining games, they just might have a chance. The Browns will be playing at home for the 3rd consecutive week, hosting the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins entered this game with a 2-8 record, putting them near the very bottom of the league. There's a lot of upside for the Browns in this matchup against the Dolphins. Here are my keys to victory for what will hopefully be the Browns' 3rd straight home win. Nick Chubb has been stellar through his first 10 games. He's already cracked 1,000 yards while averaging 5 yards per carry. And the Dolphins have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, ranking 30th, while allowing 4.7 yards per carry and 148 rushing yards per game. With the combination of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I believe they will combine for nearly 200 yards against the Dolphins. The Dolphins' passing defense is almost as bad as their rushing defense. I expect the Browns to have a somewhat balanced attack this week, similar to their game against the Steelers. Look for Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry to have a big game facing off against a weak cornerback play. I believe Beckham will finally score his 2nd touchdown of the season, and Landry will show out against his former team. And finally, on the defensive side of the ball, the Browns should be okay this week without Myles Garrett and Larry Ogunjobi. The Dolphins' offense is averaging 13.9 points per game, which is near the bottom of the league. I predict the Browns will have a very exciting game en route to beating the Dolphins 32-14. Thanks for watching the Inside Browns Report. See you next week.